I think for me the time that pops out in my head was we were, I think it was either the second or third episode of the first season, and I was supposed to do a scene with Lara, with Donna, and I'd worked with my teacher and I was ready to, do it, and he just pulled out the pages and ripped them up. And I was so devastated. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? All my work, and he says, we're gonna rewrite this scene right now. We need a cappuccino, and we need this thing, and bring him over, and we literally, he sat with Lara and I and rewrote the scene. And at the end, you're gonna get up and you're gonna just dance. And I'm like, I'm gonna what? He's like, we've written you this song and you're just gonna groove. And you're like, even if you don't know, there's something, there's something about the man that he goes into it so himself, he just like brings you into it. And you go, okay. That's what I'll do, and we rewrote the scene with 2 cappuccinos and, shot it with no acting coach. And it ended up being really cool, so that is a genius. There's something there that is absolutely genius.
We would always say, Sherilyn is going to be a beautiful thing. Ray is going to be a beautiful thing. Always say that.
So, Sheryl, do you remember the scene in Jacques' cabin? Do you remember how long David sat with us in that cabin telling us stories before we started filming? How long? It was ages. Deepak kept coming in. David, we really need to start. David, we really need to start. Oh, Deepak, no. Was it like 45 minutes or an hour of David telling us stories that had nothing to do with what we were about to film, just telling us stories?
I was standing outside waiting for them to get it going. I remember that. That was a long night.
I just have to interject. It's not seemingly nothing about it, but absolutely everything about it. And his personal experience, so that then to get them into a certain space in their heart and in their heads to...
You're right. Right. They were a little bit of paranormal stories in a way, weren't they? But the kid running, he looked out the back window, saw a kid running, and then there was a space where the kid was disappeared, and then reappeared in another part of the yard. Do you remember? That was one of the stories. I don't know, just forever. An hour maybe. Yeah, that's what I remember.
David, order a cappuccino, we got some work to do. Producers in the poor 80s are running around. Just get him a fucking cappuccino. He's not gonna do it unless you give him a cappuccino.
And Ray, we're going to put Phoebe and Sheryl Lee on a leash. and you're going to run them down the road. And Deepak will hold the flashlight. And it'll be a beautiful thing.
And that is one of the ultimate DKL lines. It'll be a beautiful thing.
Yes, I'm Jason. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, although originally from Detroit, Michigan. Sherilyn. Whoop whoop.
I'm from Akron, Ohio.
Woo! First of all, to the entire cast, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. You've given us over 2 decades of joy and obsession. Thank you so much for giving us Phoebe.
Our pleasure.
My question is actually for Mr. Von Dohlen. Lenny, in 1984, you had the starring role in a wonderful film called Electric Dreams. Yes. and starring Virginia Madsen and featuring the vocal talents of Mr. Bud Cort. And I was just wondering, this film is, I don't even think it's ever been released on DVD, but do you have any amusing anecdotes about making that film?
Yes. Well, I was 23 and I turned 24 doing that thing. And it was boot camp, you know. I mean, it was MGM. It was two very young people who were entrusted with these parts in a movie that, well, we were taken very good care of, and we had old school, first-rate people all around us, and we learned, and they were very gentle and encouraging, and I felt very lucky about that. And we shot in London, where they take tea breaks, and that's a terrible, terrible thing to get used to when you're 24, because they don't do it here. And but thank you so much for mentioning that movie. Yeah,
Wonderful.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks everyone for being here. It really means a lot to us. We came up from San Diego and actually came from Japan for this, so we really appreciate you guys being here. Anyway, one of my Twitter followers says, do you have any interesting stories about being recognized in public, and do you have any cool, interesting stories to share with us that we can maybe be entertained by?
I guess it's me then. I get, it's amazing. You know, Twin Peaks all over the world it was. At different times. I remember being at the Atlanta 1996 Olympics. I was shooting a show down there called Savannah at the time. And it was on the old WB network, and I was at this big gathering at the Olympic City there in this big tent, and James Brown and the Famous Flames was playing, and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were there to listen to James Brown, and there were these Russian film crews all over the place, shooting here and there, and they found me, and I was trying, you know, to be kind of, you know, nondescript. But they found me, and apparently in 1996, Twin Peaks was a big hit in Russia. You know, many years after we'd finished filming the series, and so he was asking me all sorts of questions in Russian. And then there was a translator who sort of translated it to me, and I think I gave away who the killer was. I'm not sure that I did, but I think that I did. I think I said it was me. And of course, you know, that was old news to me. That was 6-7 years ago. Not to Russia. They hadn't gotten to that part yet. And I thought, how am I going to get out of this? And I started to backtrack, and I started to fall all over myself, and I said, well, I mean, it could be me. But it could be Ben Horn. It could be anybody. Come on. I don't. And then I kept saying, I hope it's not me. If it's me, I'll have to leave town. I don't want to leave town. I don't want to leave these people. I'm having a great time. And you know, I really felt that way. I really felt that way. I did not want to be the murderer of my own daughter. I had a little baby girl at the time, my own daughter kinda, and that thought was anathema to me. And I said that to David several times. I said, I hope it's not me. It can't be me. I don't want it to be me. Anything. I'll do anything else. Anything you tell me. I'll be in scenes with Lenny. I'll make love to Audrey. I don't care. then that day when David invited us into that little room with the lava lamp in the corner, me and Sheryl and Ben Horn, Richard Beamer, and we sat down with Mark Frost and David leaned over to me, and we were sitting cross-legged on the floor, and he leaned over and put his hand on my knee, and he said, "Ray, it's you. It was always you."
And Sheryl, you're gonna die again.
Okay, next.
But they never knew who it was, is what I was told. Because I would relentlessly ask, pounding on those doors. And they'd say, and David would say with all honesty, "I'm not sure." Yeah. And that was, again, one of the beauties of the show is that it had a rhythm and a flow of itself. Special Agent Dale Cooper was supposed to be with Joan Chen's character. I'm so sorry for getting her character's name right now. Josie Packard, exactly. But when they got together, it didn't work because chemistry is, it's not something that you can just decide it's going to be that way. And then they had one episode where we were supposed to encounter, and then so it went that way. But they didn't know. And then chained me to the freaking bank, I'm like, I don't want to die. He's like, you didn't die. I'm like, but I'm chained to the bank.
I made a movie in Romania in 2003, I think it was. And I stepped out of the hotel. I was staying at the Grand Marriott there in Bucharest, and I stepped out of the hotel and I crossed the street, and 3 cars stopped. And I was in the crosswalk, and they stopped, and they blocked traffic on that side of the street. And the girl leaned out the window and she said, Leland, can I take you somewhere? And I said, yeah. And I was just going over to a wine shop, actually, to buy a bottle of wine that was right across the street, and I didn't need to be taken anywhere. But people in Romania, and everybody in Romania, no matter how poor they are, they have a television set. I mean, I think that their monthly income's like around $125 a month, but everybody has a television set, and they all have cell phones. Everybody in that country watched Twin Peaks. It was their big nighttime show, and they knew me as well as they knew their own mothers. At least they thought they did, And that's the way they treated me. It was kind of nice, but it was a little weird. It really was.